Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Kevin and I'm going on a journey and I invite you along. How did we end up here? Well, you may have found me via stage 4 and I searched for cancer information, or via Spyder. Maybe you were looking for a new convertible. Or maybe you happened upon this channel by some lucky coincidence. Doesn't matter. Hit the like button and the subscribe button. Let me tell you how I got here. I got here starting in 2024. So this was June 2024. I was going in for a regular physical. Doctor was going through my charts with me and said, "You got some cloud in your lungs there. You need to go see a doctor." Okay, which doctor I need to go see? You need to go see a cancer doctor. And we recommend the Huntsman Cancer Institute in Salt Lake City. And I would recommend them as well. So we make our appointment and we go through. Don't make it to the doctor's appointment. I get admitted early. Why? Because I got sick. All of a sudden, I went from hiking 20 miles over 3 days to where I could not even walk up the stairs. And we're like, what is going on? So, over the last 6 months of 2024, my journey was 45 days in the hospital. I had 1 heart surgery, 2 near-death experiences. I lost a complete week in September where my wife tells me I was there and my daughter was there and I was comprehending and talking to them. I don't remember. I had 11 weeks with drains coming out of me. 11 weeks where I had to carry them around and then empty them. And during all that time, I experienced 6 different treatments as the folks at Huntsman continued to try and figure out how to fight my cancer. Well, the end result was in December of 2024, I was able to make my 30th wedding anniversary. My wife and I went out for a marvelous lunch, and I told her, "Honey, I'm not feeling well. Let's go into the Huntsman and see what's going on." And they admitted me again. And they continued to look, and they finally found a drug, and they said, "Try this one." And it was called Medico. Doesn't really matter. And I took the drug, and the next day I'm like, I'm feeling better. I don't know why. I don't know how. But overnight, I felt better. And then, so this was the middle of December, middle of January, I'm back, went down to St. George again, where all of this hiking was right before I ended up with my hospital stays and everything else. And we were doing some of the same hikes. And then we were biking. And then we were traveling to other places. And it felt very normal. And then in March, I got the dreaded, the disease has progressed scan. This led to a reassessment. What is it that I really need to be doing? And what am I going to do? My doctors needed to reassess my treatment. And then I needed to reassess, wow, what can I realistically expect? So now we went through, so that was treatment number 7. So now we went through treatment number 8 and on to treatment number 9. And so a couple of those treatments, you'll see the amivantamab has really broken out my face. I wasn't this way until I took Ami with all of the hives and everything else. And apparently it goes through and causes cuts around your fingers and your thumbs. So that's thanks to amivantamab. So what I have is stage 4 lung cancer. And this is the story of how I got to stage 4. Now, the Spyder part's got a whole other story. So let me take you on the wild ride of that story. I mentioned Midnight. Let me do a full introduction. So Midnight is my Midnight Blue Porsche 993 from 1995. It's a Carrera 2, and I've had it for 19 years. I looked for the car for 3 years, ended up finding it 2 miles from my house when I lived in New Jersey. And I'm the second owner of the car. So I really know the car and know everything that's been done on it. I spent hours in the garage doing work on the car. I drove it to work. We road tripped as a family. I drove to Watkins Glen and VIR
in the rain, and then spent multiple days tracking the car. I went to Lime Rock and left my mark on the front straightaway. I then got the bug and I modded it for additional track use, but still used it for long road trips. I took it to trailheads, and I even did Costco runs. But this year, after the diagnosis of disease progression, I noticed that I couldn't do some of the maintenance to it that I'd done in the past. Things like tire changes, oil changes, brake fluid flush, all the things you need to do to keep a Porsche in well-running shape. Because if you don't do that maintenance, then the amount of money you're going to need to spend on the car goes through the roof. And I found I couldn't do those anymore. I looked at my last 3 repairs. They had to be done by someone else. Luckily, I was able to get my daughter to do a couple of them. However, she lives way off away from me, and I can't go through and depend on her to fix all the problems with the car. So a change was needed. A change was needed to make sure that the car found a good home and was well taken care of. And then I needed something to fill that void, something that I didn't need to work on, but something that I could enjoy and have fun with. I'm a Porsche guy at heart, and so that meant Porsches. I'm also a finance guy, so that means spreadsheets. So I broke out the spreadsheets to try and figure out what the solution to my problem was. So first, as I mentioned with AI, I had AI create a comparison table for me that had the 993 dimensions, the Boxster dimensions, and a 911 dimension. So that gave me an idea of what the size of the car I was dealing with. I really liked the size of my 993. AI then generated me a table that showed what the dimensions and weights were. And as you can see from the table, the Boxster is fairly close. So I thought, that's a good option for me. Then I went and looked at what was happening in the marketplace. What was happening at P-Car Market, Bring a Trailer. I went to the Porsche Club Marketplace. I went to the Porsche website, looking at prices, availability, colors, all of that type of stuff. Because with my situation and my diagnosis, I couldn't spend a lot of time waiting for a car to arrive. Or, in the case of my 993, couldn't and didn't want to spend a lot of time having it at the shop where I couldn't drive it and be using the car. So I needed something that I could almost immediately get. Then I go, wow, I want a GT car from Porsche. That's really what I wanted. So as I looked through the information, I went back over the notes, looked at the Boxster Spyder, the Cayman GT4 RS, and I looked at the 911 GT3 Touring Coupe. And basically, the Cayman was set up for the track, wouldn't allow for touring. The GT3, frankly, was even more expensive than the Spyder, and so I narrowed it in on the Spyder. And somehow, I got my wife to reluctantly agree. Being a finance guy, showed her how we can pre-spend some life insurance money to pay for this car. So, anyways, she agreed, and the hunt was on. I then expanded the spreadsheet, took a look at historical recent bidding to see where the pricing was, see what was selling, see if I could get a paint to sample type of car, see what features I wanted on the car. And then I also started to go through and track how the bidders are doing. Help me bidder on Bring a Trailer. He's a very early bidder, very low. I think he's there just to get things started. So that's how I went about creating this spreadsheet, understanding what the market was doing, and creating a target price for the car with the features that I wanted. Eventually, I found what I wanted at Porsche Fresno. But we'll cover that more next time. So next time, we'll cover the last drive and the sale of the 993 and the delivery of the new Spyder. Until then, let's drive.